Give us one sec, guys. We're having some technical difficulties. All right. That should fit. We had a little problem with microphones here in the booth. Okay. Anyway, so Skrylands and Modern. Skrylands are a little slow. Okay. I'm actually a big fan of Scars of Mirrodin. Of the Scars of Mirrodin Fastlands.
Yeah. Which come in untapped as long as you have 4 or less.
Scars of Mirrodin.
Two or less.
Two or less. So as long as it's your second or third land drop, it should be better. Okay. And we have Jeff Peterson leading off with Lotus Bloom.
With a classic land war elves.
Main mana. So this elf deck that Brian's playing is essentially trying to Missouri into play as fast as possible, and then pump all of your elves many times.
Yeah, Missouri Renegade Leader allows you to overrun.
Correct. So it uses mana ramp like cards like Heritage Druid and the Heritage Druid and Nettle Sentinel combo to make a bunch of mana. Also has Elvish Druid, and we see a two Azuri from Brian. Jeff just kind of trying to set up this combo. This deck usually goes off around turn 3 or turn 4. The Lotus Bloom draws are a little slower. Usually it wants a 10-tap Prism on 2, so it can go off on turn 3. You typically need around between 5 and 6 mana to go off. Alright. So Jeff continuing to show us sleight of hand. Set up this combo kill. Probably not going to be able to do it this turn. Maybe next.
This is Spellscape from Brian. What kind of effects are you activating right now? The Spellscape.
So this turn that it looks like Jeff's going to be able to go off, and there's a Phyrexian unlocked to make sure he doesn't die. Alright, give us one more sec, guys. We're gonna try something else here with the mics. We're still having a little bit of trouble. So you're not gonna be able to hear us for 1 second, but after that it should fix. Alright guys, sorry about all that. Alright, so it looks like Brian has played a Reclamation Sage. And it looks like he's trying to destroy the Phyrexian Unlife that Jeff has in play.
Phyrexian Unlife enchantment that says if you would take damage, you would doesn't let you go below 0 life. And if you take damage on top of that, you start getting infect counters.
Correct.
But that is damage, so loss of life from ad nauseum won't actually interact with that.
Ooh, and it looks like Jeff's actually going to go off here. So he had the Simian Spirit Guide in his hand. So he's doing all this in response to the Rex Sage trying to destroy Phyrexian on life. Just pick up the whole thing. Alright, so he's gonna... Here is where he exiles 3 Simian Spirit Guides to play Lightning Storm, and then discards a million zillion cards to send it all at Brian's face. Alright, sweet. Alright, so Brian's just dead here. I don't think there's anything he can do. I mean, he could technically just redirect with Spellskite over and over, but Jeff has enough lands in his deck to kill him through that, so... Jeff's just pretty much going through the motions here. Brian Eason, a seasoned veteran, making him play it out.
Ad nauseum, the lightning bolt is not a loop. Normally, when you have a loop, you only have to demonstrate the loop once and then name how many times you're doing it. This here is just a chain of interactions. And yep, there's the concession. Or I guess taking lethal, depending on how.
Yeah, I'm almost positive that Brian's dead here. Oh, actually, I'm getting note from my table spotter that Jeff Peterson actually was a few lands short.
He had enough life to keep redirecting to his Spellskite, since they all are on the stack at the same time.
Oh man, that's marvelous. Well,
so he goes down to very negative from Ad nauseum. All of his massive damage goes to the Spellskite. Brian probably paying a fair amount of life to redirect those, but it all goes through. Reclamation Shades takes out the unlife, and state-based actions say, "Sir, you have negative life. You lose."
Yep, you're super dead. So that's actually a pretty interesting ending to that game. So I'm trying to think of what the sideboard of the Ad nauseum deck needs to bring in here. Probably Slaughter Pacts, Pact of Negations, to counter ways to tutor for Reclamation Sage or any way to interact with him. If he goes for the Angel's Grace kill, I don't know if Brian has any form of interaction other than the Spellskite. So as long as he can keep the Spellskite off the table, it shouldn't be a problem.
Angel's Grace is a instant.
Correct.
Has split second, and it says that if any damage would reduce you below 1 life, you stay at 1 and you can't lose the game this turn as well.
Correct.
So there's no way for a card like Reclamation Sage to interact with this because it's just a static effect that is on the player once Angel's Grace resolves.
So a cool thing about Angel's Grace in this deck is it also like I said, Pact of Negation, and it also plays Slaughter Pact.
Oh, so it'll stop.
So correct, you can, in response to the Pact triggers at the beginning of your turn, you can cast Angel's Grace and just not die. You can just not pay for any of your Pact triggers or your Pacts. So
because those things aren't going to keep checking. They're going to check once on it as an upkeep trigger. Hey, can you pay for this?
Correct.
No, I can't lose the game. Angel's Grace says, nah, it's okay, man. You keep going. All right. Fun interactions with Ad nauseum.
So we're going into game 2. I'm not really sure what Brian's sideboard looks like. I can't imagine he has too much to bring in. He's not... I didn't see any second color. If he was playing black, you would obviously bring in Thoughtseize as another hand disruption. I mean, Jeff Peterson is playing a combo deck, so all you have to do is strip all the cards out of his hand that matter, and then you can just kill him with a ham sandwich. It doesn't really matter. So, but I didn't see a second color, so I'm really not sure what Brian Eason has here.
Yeah, a lot of times we see elves maybe splash all black for abrupt decays or things like that to deal with troublesome permanents. It'll help with the Phyrexian Unlife, but not really seeing too much interaction against Ad nauseum.
So it looks like players are shuffling up here for game 2. So I'm going to take this moment to let everybody know. So Wasteland Gaming is hosting Star City Regionals come this Saturday, I believe. Doors are open at 9 a.m. So, and it is in the shopping mall right across the street from the shop. All the information is online, either at our website or Star Cities. So go check it out. If you're in the area, in the state, in this side of the country, and you want to play Magic and you're not qualified for the Pro Tour, come on down, play some Standard, win some sweet prizes. I believe there is $5,000 in cash going out to...
Let alone those trophies.
Yeah.
Those trophies are beautiful.
Also, those trophies are super awesome looking. You even get a... We also have the playmats, the tokens, everything that Star City has been advertising. We got it, so...
It's the new selfie playmat, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
All the adorable animals taking the picture together.
My girlfriend actually loves every single one of those playmats and tokens. I actually had to finagle my way into getting one of the Tassipur ones about a month ago. She loves it, though. All right, so it looks like players are keeping 7 in Game 2. Jeff starting off with a Lotus Bloom on turn 1, and we have a Nettle Sentinel from Brian's side.
And that's another temple. It looks like he's actually running a fair number of blue-white temple. Light mid, I believe. Looks like... I see what you're saying about the temples being slow, but when you're digging for the right kind of pieces, especially if you're casting 0 drops on turn 1.
Well, that's the thing. That's why they play temples in this deck and no other deck, is because your turn 1 play is usually a Lotus Bloom, which doesn't cost any mana. So the fact that your first land coming into play tap doesn't really matter. Also, you're constantly just searching for an Ad Nauseam. That's the only thing you ever want to draw in this deck. You just want the mana to cast it and Ad Nauseam.
Looks like...
Oh, Brian's going off here.
We had 2 caverns, both naming elves. I believe I saw them both tap for green. That is a Nettle Sentinel, Heritage Druid, and Elvish Mystic tapping them. And I'm not sure what that... I believe that's enchantment?
Oh, that is Choke he just put into play, which looks really awkward here considering Jeff has no islands in play. See, another reason why the temples are super sweet. Play around Choke.
Yeah, Choke is islands don't untap.
Correct. Sideboard staple in Modern for all of those who just don't want their opponent to play any Magic whatsoever.
It looks like a Nykthos from Brian. The Devotion lands.
Yeah. Alright, so... I didn't see exactly what was in Jeff's hand. I believe he is able to go off next turn, though. Alright, and we have life totals at Brian at 20 and Jeff at 15. Jeff's life total in this matchup is pretty much irrelevant. I mean, he either is dead or he's not. As long as he is above 0, he can combo off, so it doesn't really matter. But Brian has to win somehow. Ooh, we have a chord from Brian going to get... Yep, there's that Spellskite.
You think Jeff sided in more lands?
No, but he has definitely played less this game, so that's, you know, a good thing. Alright, yep, I see the Ad Nauseam in Jeff's hand. I also see a Simian Spirit Guide and a copy of Lightning Storm already. You don't really need those in your hand. You never really want them because they don't really do anything until after you've drawn your whole deck. So those are pretty dead. And Anticipate. Ooh, I haven't seen that one in this deck before.
Fetching up those pieces, trying to find. Looks like a Polluted Delta.
Alright, well, let's see if Jeff has enough lands in his deck to kill him this time. I certainly hope so, because that's definitely not the way you want to go out. Jeff fetches up a swamp here. Again, playing around the Choke that's slightly off screen right now. Brian just has a ton of permanent, so they're moving around.
I really like the chord for 2 there. Just, oh, we gonna play this game again? Spellskite seems very strong when you're not interacting with the elf's life total at all. Being able to just dump 9 triggers into it.
Oh, absolutely. So I think Jeff is just gonna keep setting up. Yeah. Oh, he actually has the Simian Spirit Guide in hand, so he's looking for a way to not be dead to his own ad nauseum. That's the only piece he's missing right now. So he needs either an Angel's Grace or a Phyrexian on life. It looks like he hasn't found it yet. Alright, Brian attacks for what I can only assume is millions.
Or 7.
Approximately.
Approximately, yes.
Yeah, so Brian doesn't even have to do anything else in this game. Like, he already has him on a 2-turn clock. All he has to do is make sure that he can, or hope that Jeff doesn't have enough lands in his deck to kill him. Oh, well, Jeff drew the Angel's Grace, so that's exactly what he needed. And I believe he has 1 excess mana, so he's going to use it to Serum Visions. And now's the time to go for it. So last game, interesting. So he just passes here. This combo can go off at instant speed. I also might be doing my math wrong. I believe he has 6 mana though. The Lotus Bloom is 3, the 2 lands in play, that's for ad nauseum, and then the Simian Spirit Guide is the extra 1 he needs for the Angel's Grace.
Well, Angel's Grace has to be a white.
No, yeah, sure.
So
but he needs
right,
6 total, and he has a Lotus, or Black Lotus in play, so it doesn't really matter. So Brian's just gonna keep
Collected Company here.
Keep playing dudes.
Grab another Heritage Druid.
Make many dudes.
Battle for Weasel.
Actually, I believe that attack was only for 5. Oh, for 6 actually.
That's right. It's gonna go down to 1. Looks like we had missed an attack earlier on our life total updates. Herboard.
Alright, well, if there was any time to do it, now would be the time, so.
Does he have the ad nauseum in hand?
Yeah, he might be trying to find a slaughter pack to kill the Spellskite.
Yeah.
But he's going to draw his whole deck, so I don't really understand. Like I said, Jeff has played this deck many more times than I have, so I might have something wrong here. But I think I see all the combo pieces in his hand. Or maybe he's just going for Flare and going to do it on Brian's turn, because all the cards necessary to do it are instant. Oh, yep. So here's the Angel's Grace. I can't be dead. I'm at 1 forever.
Split second fun mechanic. Opponents can't respond.
Just another one of those
by casting spells or activating abilities.
Time Spiral cards that just
you can
rude. Rude,
you can
really.
activate mana abilities though. In response.
Thank God.
Well, there is some hilarious edge cases like the split seconds that destroy creatures. If for whatever reason you wanted to sack it, if you can sack it for mana, it'll go through.
So Brian is making Jeff have it right here. I believe he's beast withhanding his Lotus Bloom. So, yep. So he has 3 black floating. Oh, now it's gone. Yep, and Jeff's dead. So we must have been missing something, because it looked like Jeff had it for a while, but it looks like Brian Eason's going to win this match over Jeff Peterson 2-0. So what we're going to do is, since that match was super short, we're going to go see if we can find you guys another match to watch before the end of round 1. And so we'll be right back.
coming back with a little bonus action here. We have Joseph Russell on Grixis Delver and Jonathan on Black-White Tokens. These players are going to game 3. They have both won a game. So the one right here, will be the match-deciding game.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you guys watched last week, we actually had Jonathan on camera. He was our round 4 feature match. Looks like he's playing a pretty stock Black-White Tokens deck. Has Bitter Blossom, has Lingering Souls, has Spectral Procession, all the good stuff. Intangible Virtue, pump your guys up.
He had a pretty rough time against Red-Green Tron last week. How do you think Black-White Tokens fares against Grixis Delver?
It's actually interesting. So, the difference between the Grixis Delver matchup and the Grixis Twin matchup is Twin just has like an automatic I win button, and the Delver deck doesn't really have that. They have to beat them fair and square. So it's gonna be hard. I think Jonathan's able to put enough blockers into play that Joe can't really pressure his life total like he does most decks.
Yeah, by going usually Grixis Delver goes very wide with lots of elemental tokens from Young Pyro, and then just hitting with those 3s in the air. With of course the Delver. Looks like we have a Thoughtseize here.
Oh yeah, the good old turn 1 Lava Axe yourself.
Serum Visions, Steam Vents, Gitaxian Probe, Thought Scour.
So I believe the card he took was the Young Pyromancer, which was the only threat. And of course the first card Joe draws is the Young Pyromancer. Just the way we wrote it up.
Steam Vents take 2.
Alright, so we're probably going to see a Serum Visions here. Essentially all this Grixis Delver deck does is cantrip, fill its graveyard with a bunch of just junk, really. And then it just plays big, like, Gurmag Anglers and Tazagar, I believe. And, you know, also you get the value off the Young Pyromancer when you're cantripping and Gitaxian probing and whatnot.
Usually has a pretty decent removal suite, things like Dismember.
Yeah. Bolt, obviously.
Bolt. You just want to get as many Young Pyro triggers as possible.
Alright, we have a Gitaxian Probe revealing...
Spectral Procession, Plains, Intangible Virtue, and...
Forge Tender. So, I believe it is Burrington Forge Tender. Is a 1-mana 1/1, and you can sacrifice it to prevent all damage that a red card or spell would do this turn. Or from a red source.
Probably sideboard against the Bolt.
Yeah,
maybe because the 1/1 is it a red source or all red sources?
It's a red source, so you choose one. Usually people side it in matchups that can have Pyroclasm or Anger of the Gods if they're trying to get a little bigger. Usually they side it in against Tron.
Yeah, Pyroclasm and Anger, 2-3 damage to his whole team can be a very big play.
Yeah, so you just sack that guy and you're like, all right, save my team. It makes those red rats really difficult to maneuver. So he might have seen like I said, we're coming in on game 3 here, so he might have seen a Pyroclasm or something like that in game 2.
Joseph takes 2 for Blood Crypt. Looks like he drew a Lightning Bolt for turn. Gonna drop the Young Pyromancer. 2/1, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, you get a 1/1 elemental token.
So, fun fact, Bradley.
Okay.
Young Pyromancer is probably my favorite Magic card they've ever printed.
Oh, yeah?
They kind of tried to one-up it when they printed Monastery Mentor.
Yeah.
But Young Peasy has a place deep down in my heart. This card is awesome. I also am very interested in Vintage, and this card for a while was the most stupid card in Vintage, not close. And like I said, they printed Monastery Mentor and kind of gave it the business.
I mean, the main difference, one of the most recent Legacy Grand Prix, Miracles 2.0, as the creator called it, was basically just your normal blue-white Miracles deck, but it splashed red for Young PC.
I mean, that card is very good when all your cards cost 1 or 2. Or free, like Force of Will. Alright, so it looks like an attack after Intangible Virtuing up sends Joe to 10. It looks like Jonathan actually put Joe on the back foot really quickly this game. That Thoughtseize was very good. Because if you can imagine this board state where Joseph has 2 Young Pyromancers, his ability to race is way better. I mean, Jonathan is attacking in the air, but he can go super wide when you have 2 Young Pyromancers going on at the same time. He really needs this Delver to flip, just so he can trade with a token. That seems miserable.
Looks like he's gonna probably bolt a token.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Save himself 2 damage.
Well, he could just sack the Forge Tender to it. Oh, nope, he's just gonna let it happen. So Joe's gonna take 2, go down to 8. I believe he's going to get his Young Pyromancer token. Or this tiny, tiny dice that we have no possibility of being able to read or see.
Now, I know Joe has a elemental token, as I gave him one earlier today.
I see. Alright, so John hits his 4th land. Cracks his fetch, probably going to go get a Plains to cast a Spectral Procession. Not the easiest card in the world to cast, but when you do, it is
3/1/1
very good
flyers
for 3.
for 3 mana is way better than 3/1/1 flyers for 6.
You're not wrong. Also, when they're all getting pumped by Intangible Virtue, that's a big army that you amassed very quickly. Ah, yes, the red dice, somehow easier. Thanks, guys, appreciate it.
Well, the advantage over pips with numbers is we can see if it is tapped or untapped.
Sure. Alright, so Joe's in a lot of trouble here. I don't really know what he needs to draw to get out of this. I would say one of his good draws would be Pyroclasm, but that Forge Tender is just messing everything up. And John's just sitting on top of another Spectral Procession with a Vault of the Archangel in play too, which is a very good land in this kind of deck. Vault of the Archangel costs...
White, black, and 2.
Correct.
Plus tapping it, so 5 mana total, counting itself. Or 5 lands that need to be tapped. And it will give all your creatures lifelink and death touch until end of turn.
Which is very good when all your guys are just little tiny 1/1s that you make off these cards that generate multiples at a time. So you can trade with, you know, Tarmogoyfs, Tassigars, just big monsters, and you just activate it and send one of your 1/1s in, and they either
Scalding Tarn
can't block or have to block.
Yeah, whereas that life advantage where may not be that important against, say, like a twin deck
Ooh.
that just goes infinite. Life advantage against, you know, Delver, where you're just trying to grind out advantage, is actually very relevant.
So John just drew a Hero of Bladehold, which, given the current state of this game and the fact that Joe didn't flip his Delver to at least have some kind of blocks, it looks like John's just going to win here. Joe might have a Bolt or something, but he can just crack his Forge Tender to prevent it. Mm-hmm. So let's see if John swings for game. Oh, there it is.
All right. Just going to crack his fetch.
Don't really know what Joe could be trying to play here.
He could just be making him play around the Pyroclasm. Oh, Pyroclasm is sorcery.
Pyroclasm is a sorcery, yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's like the
He goes, well, he's swinging for 8, so if he grabs... Dismember doesn't help here.
No, Dismember is not what you want.
Not what you want.
I guess Joe's just going to Thought Scour for a Bolt, but that's, again, not going to work because of the Forge Tender. I guess he's just going to check to make sure John's awake. Paying attention.
No, play it out. Make your opponent.
Sure.
Make him show the lethal.
I mean, this is game 3, so... Oh, one of them is a soldier token from Razy Alarm. Oh, yeah, they're not all spirits. Okay, so this will just put Joe to 1. All right. That makes way more sense. I believe he put 3 of the elementals in front of it to gang block it. All right, well, now, yep, Spectral Procession, Hero Bladehold doesn't really matter. Your force is big enough as is, but might as well.
And there's the Hero Bladehold.
That's a good one. Hero of Bladehold is a powerful magical card.
It really defined almost one of the earliest red-white aggro decks in Scars of Mirrodin.
I mean, it hits for a ton of damage when it does hit, so when you get to untap with one of those, you feel pretty good.
Looks like you got that Delver to flip.
Yeah.
Giving him a flying blocker.
Revealing an Electrolyze, which is almost comical at this point, as that card trades for either a Forge Cinder or 1 token, which seems pretty average.
Any thoughts, guys? We're just digging here. Getting those blockers. Yeah, with that being a soldier token, those spells on the last combat make a lot more sense. Trying to generate more tokens, so not only do you guarantee that you take out the thing even around a trophy.
Yeah, you're just trying to, I guess, not have to throw away your Pyromancer or your Delver in a gang block on a token. So, yep.
Yeah.
He's going to crack his own fetch, go out with style. Alright, so we have Jonathan winning Game 3. Wins the match 2-1 over Joseph Russell. And I'm sorry, Jonathan, one day I will learn to say your last name, but that day is not today. Alright, so that's about it for round 1. We will be back in about 5-10 minutes for more awesome Modern Magic. So stay tuned, guys.
And we're back with Modern Mondays here at the Wasteland, starting round 2. So we have Tan on Jund and Alex on Days Affinity. Days Affinity, of course, being the affinity list that's running new cards from Magic Origins, Days Undoing.
Oh yeah, that's definitely that and Hangerback Walker are I think the only 2 cards that could possibly go into the affinity deck. Hangerback Walker probably costs a little too much, but the interaction with it and Arcbound Ravager is pretty sweet. But Days Undoing is actually pretty neat. You get to essentially regash your hand, just draw a fresh 7, and next turn just unload all your permanents. Because by turn 3 you probably don't have any cards in hand anyway.
Yeah, Affinity's known for dropping 5, 6, sometimes even all 7 of its opening 7 on turn 1. So as bad as giving your opponent a reshuffle and a refresh up to 7 cards, if you're able to dump the majority of your hand in a single turn, seems like that would be quite the advantage.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And we have Tan on Jund. Just, classic Jund post Bloodbraid Death Rate. So all you do is you're trying to control the board down. Just make sure they have no creatures in play all the time with spells like Lightning Bolt, Kolaghan's Command, Abrupt Decay, and just pretty much out-grind your opponent.
Yeah, stick a threat, bash in with it.
Yeah, whether it be Tarmogoyf, a Liliana, a Raging Ravine, it really doesn't matter as long as they don't have any permanents that lands. Like, you just kill other creatures and you can kill them with a ham sandwich. It doesn't matter. So it looks like players here are shuffling up.
One day someone's going to make a deck called Ham Sandwich, and you're going to be so happy.
Oh, man,
so
I'd absolutely love it. Yeah, that's just kind of saying that has been thrown around in the store for several years now, when it doesn't actually matter what
finishes them off.
Yeah, any one thing is, it's just classified as Ham Sandwich. So you will be regaled with tales of someone being killed by a ham sandwich, or drew ham sandwich, or ate a ham sandwich. It doesn't really matter. Oh, one thing about Tan's deck that he did inform me before this match, he told me it was a spicy brew, and I asked him what is different in his Jund deck than all the other Jund decks, and he said it has 1 bonfire in it. So if that one bonfire ever comes up...
Bonfire was a player when Jund was a strong standard deck.
Bonfire is a mighty card regardless. I have lost to that card several times back in that standard format. It feels great. Alright, it looks like Alex is on the play, which is really, really good for his deck, because obviously Affinity just wants to put the pressure on as fast as possible. So, would you like to make a wager as to how many permanents Alex puts into play on turn 1?
If it's anything less than 5, I'll be a little disappointed. Whenever I like to test with my friends, Affinity is usually my go-to list, because I can boot it up and, test it online, test it on paper. But, Affinity is going to be probably dropping 2, if not more. Depends on how many lands you draw.
Yeah, so it looks like both players kept their 7.
Darksteel.
Into Springleaf Drum, into Memnite.
Yep, and that number 4. Oh, there it is.
Frogmite. Oh, man. That's one we haven't seen in a little bit.
Yep, and then a tap Shockland just feels a little disappointing against stuff.
Yeah, well, you didn't play enough permanents, so...
And there's another 2. What's that? Inkmoth?
No, it's... yeah. He played Inkmoth and then another Memnite.
And he's going to crash for 3.
And now he's going to Days Undoing. So this is what the deck's all about.
That's what I like to see.
Gets to completely refill his hand.
I'm a fan of Affinity, not mainly for those first 2 turns, when you just get to just drop everything. And it just feels so powerful. Playing 4, 5, 6. Sometimes all 7 spells.
This Days Undoing actually seems really, really good, because the biggest downside of that card is you let your opponent go first with a fresh 7. But the only thing Tan played out of his hand was a land. So he technically does gain a card, but the advantage is not as much as it would be in a fair game of Magic.
Yeah, because with the Days Undoing, he's maybe shuffling away 1 card, so he's netting like 6, 7 card advantage. even with Tan grabbing
Yeah, I
one,
mean,
still 5-card advantage net is huge.
he just played a 3-mana like draw 7, so or draw 6, I guess, because he already had a card in hand, but it was a land. So, and it looks like Alex drew some spicy ones: an Ornithopter, a Thoughtcast, a Mox Opal, and a Cranial Plating. Oh, Tan with the Sakura Tribe Elder, huh? Also, not one you usually see out of Jund.
Sacrifice it, fetch up a basic land from your deck, put it into play tapped.
Yep, just Rampant Growth.
And that's a Memnite Ornithopter.
Yep. A bunch of 0 drops. He also has a Galvanic Blast in his hand.
And there was the Mox Open.
2 Cranial Platings. Oh my.
Oh, that's painful.
I believe that's what that is. He might just be shuffling too fast for my mortal eyes to see. Oh no, Alex's turn here is going to be pretty insane. Yeah, his Cranial Plating pumps for 9 right now, and if he activates his Ink Moth, it's 10. Or 11, counting itself. Yep, that's... Yep. Oh my goodness.
That's a lethal swing.
Yep, in fact, get you. Yep, and Tan's dead.
Oh, man.
So we have Alex Ortiz up a game. Very, very quick game 1.
Once again, Ink Moth is the new Blink Moth from Scars block. Pay 1 to turn it into a 1/1 flying Blink Moth artifact creature that has Infect. Cranial Plating pumping it up by 10, 11, making it more than 10, dealing 11 to 12 points of poison damage, and as the game of Magic says, if you have 10 or more points of poison, you lose.
You're dead. Alright, it looks like Alex is bringing in Whip Flare, Pyroclasm for all non-artifacts. I'm not sure what Tan can bring in here. I assume, or at least I would hope, if he has something like Ancient Grudge, that's obviously very good. Shatterstorm is very good. The Bonfire is definitely staying in.
Yeah, Bonfire for 1 even usually wipes out. Oh, 2 for
yeah, Alex might not even know what Tan is playing because he played a Sakura Tribe Elder, which is not typically in the Jund decks. So it's usually in the Scapeshift decks. So maybe he thinks he's on some weird Scapeshift Splash Black version or something else.
Because Scapeshift is normally a red, blue, green. So maybe he's doing
like a little splash of black for something. Ooh, it looks like Tan actually has a Damnation and Anger of the Gods in his sideboard.
Blood
which he's
Moon
bringing in.
Coming in.
Blood Moon is okay. In this, it's good if you aren't playing white and you can play Stony Silence. Stony Silence is typically just like the ultimate sideboard card against Affinity. That or Kataki. Kataki is also very good.
Well, Stony Silence says the activatability of artifacts can't be activated, so it turns off the Cranial Plating. But Blood Moon does turn off the Ink Moths and the Blink Moths.
So does Stony Silence actually turns off their lands that can actually make mana, and also it turns off their Mox Opal, their Dark Steel Forge, and also their Springleaf Drum. Oh. So they just can't cast anything.
Yes.
It's brutal when it happens. But the thing is, you can leave an Ink Moth alone if it's just hitting for 1. The problem is Ink Moth plus Cranial.
Yeah, because with other Cranial Plating to buff it into those insane numbers.
Yeah, with the Stony Silence, they can't put anything on it. They just have to kind of fight you fair.
Steal Overseer blanks now. It's not giving it those counters.
Oh, Stony Silence and Kataki completely just savaged this deck. But unfortunately, Tan's not playing any white mana. So he's going to have to go with Ancient Grudge and some 3 and 4 mana sweepers, which might be a little too slow. Ancient Grudge is going to be a big one. Getting to kill essentially 2 creatures for 1 card is really, really good. 1
red, destroy target artifact, flashback for a single green.
Correct. He also has Kolaghan's Command, I assume, which is also a very good card in this matchup. Actually, Affinity's been on the decline lately because of the printing of Kolaghan's Command. Because the Grixis Delver decks can just Kolaghan's Command, Snapcast Kolaghan's Command, Affinity player out of the game.
And they're running that command normally.
Oh yeah, they have it named.
It's not even the side.
Usually the modes you pick on that are deal 2 to a creature, destroy an artifact. So you either blow up a plating and another creature that's attacking, or you blow up 2 creatures. It's very versatile and is very good.
Against a non-Affinity deck, you're probably fetching your creature back from your yard as well as nuking them.
It depends. Usually against like blue decks, they use it as a card advantage tool. Like they make them discard a card and they pick up a spell that got countered earlier, you know, a creature spell, or, you know, it really all depends. Kolaghan's Command is an insane card in Modern. It's so good. It does pretty much everything you want all the time. Alright, looks like players are shuffling up. Let's see if we can get a game that lasts more than 4 or 5 minutes. That'd be great. And most of that was them shuffling, so.
The Days Undoing have that big shuffle effect.
A true trademark of Affinity is that it takes longer to shuffle your 60 cards than it takes to kill them. So.
Alright, how many permanents you guessing for this turn 1?
Well, I just saw his hand, so I feel like I'm cheating a little bit, but it looks like at least 4, maybe 5. He is on the draw.
And he's got a Days Undoing in hand. So
he has 2 of them in hand, which seem kind of like he mulliganed to 6, but his hand's good enough anyway. I don't think it matters.
If you're going to play 5, drawing 5 instead of drawing 6 off a Days Undoing, still pretty good.
Alright, the Springleaf Drum here was actually a really good draw. So he played a Springleaf Drum, a Memnite, and a Signal Pest.
Signal Pest.
Good old turn 2 Sakura Tri-Builder coming down. So it looks like he has a Ravager and 2 Days Undoings in his hand and a Cranial Plating. So let's see if he goes for the Cranial Plating equip here. Or just slam the Ravager. Oh, looks like we're going for the equip. It's fine. Can't be blocked. Hits for 2, 3, 4, 5.
Signal Pest is a 0/1, I believe.
Correct.
It has Battle Cry, which is all their attacking creatures get +1/+0, and it can only be blocked by creatures with flying or reach.
Correct.
So it attacks as a flyer, but it's just a regular dude on defense.
Oh, actually, so the Sakura Tri-Builder is pretty interesting. It makes the Anger of the Gods and the Damnation not feel as slow. Mm-hmm. He has an Anger in hand right now that he's going to cast and just pretty much take all the wind out of Alex's sails, but I guess that's what the Days Undoing is for.
Well, without those creatures, he doesn't have a way to generate blue mana.
Sure. He has an Arcbound Ravager in his hand, which I assume he's going to cast. He can't cast it next turn, but I mean, anything's possible. He could draw a Mox Opal and just go crazy.
Or a Glimmer Post.
So let's see if Tan has a 4th land here. Oh, he also has his Damnation in his hand. Yep, we see all your Days Undoing, Alex. Thank you. Oh, so it looks like he's just going to pass here. Oh, he has an Ancient Grudge in his hand, so he's going to try to bait out more value with his Anger of the Gods.
In response to the Days Undoing, if it comes down, wipe up the board a little bit.
Sure, I mean, also he can just blow up his guys, hold up the flashback as a threat, and then, like, Alex can't play anything too good. Oh, he just blew up the plating. I like that. Because blowing up the creatures here is not the biggest problem, because he does have a Nexus in play. Mm-hmm. So he can just equip up his land and still beat face after all his creatures die. Alright, let's see if Alex goes for the Days here. I think he drew a Galvanic Blast for turn. Nope, going for the Ravager, and then he's going to hold up Galv Blast. Alright, Tan thinking about destroying something in response to the Ravager. The thing about Ravager is it essentially spell skites all the removal, because killing any other artifact is pointless, because he'll just sack it to the Ravager to get value off of it. So he's contemplating flashing back the Ancient Grudge on something before the Ravager's in play. Yeah, I was about to say, I actually like waiting for the Ravager to resolve and then Ancient Grudging it, because you essentially force Alex to make a decision as to how many permanents he wants to sacrifice before his guy's in play. Or, I'm sorry, before you get to Anger or whatever removal spell you want. So if he eats all of his creatures to make his... Oh, there's a Damnation. That's a big one. Yep, so... Galv Blast in response, taking Tan to 9, because Alex definitely has Metalcraft. Alright, well, let's see if... Oh, I thought that was a Glimmer Post, but it's an Ornithopter, which is just as good. Yep.
Let's refill. Let's start again.
See, this is where Days looks a little more lackluster. Like, it's good, but Alex has to end his turn here, so he can't put all the permanents he draws into play. And he also lets Tan just have 7 cards. And after sideboard, Tan is much more likely to have a bunch of hate for him.
Seven new cards on 4 mana is way better than 7 new cards off 1.
Sure. And I mean, also, the longer this game goes, the better it is for Tan, because his cards are just so much better than Alex's card for card. I mean, you can always hope that your opponent just breaks off of it, but I see a Kolaghan's Command right in the front, and it's... Yeah, Tan looked like he drew some good ones off that Days Undoing. So, as part of Days Undoing's text, Alex has to end his turn right now, so he's not able to play any of the sweet cards he just drew.
If it was cast on his turn, but as a sorcery, that normally happens. I've seen some interesting brews trying to quicken the Days Undoing. Your opponent's end step, or maybe get around it, but...
Make your own Time Walk.
Yeah. Or Time Twister.
Well, Time Twister doesn't skip their turn, but sure. Looks like maybe a Tarmogoyf? Yep. Good old Goyf's down. Well, because of Days Undoing shuffling graveyards in, Tarmogoyf looks pretty lackluster. Also, Days Undoing exiles itself, so Tarmogoyf is actually an 0-1 right now.
0-1, yeah.
Well done. The 0-1 against the 0-2 flyer.
And there's our monks.
Alright, here's a second Ornithopter. We're going to put the Springleaf Drum on that one since it's still summoning sick. I see a Cranial Plating and another Signal Pest. So this turn, Alex should be able to attack for a whole bunch if Tan doesn't have a response. But Tan, having just been given 7 new cards, has removal at the ready.
The second turn.
Yep, might as well. You never know when you're going to draw another Time Twister in this deck, so you might as well just spew all your permanents all the time.
Okay. Go for the equip. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Oh, it's definitely
9,
lethal. Yeah. So, Kolaghan's Command, destroy your Cranial Plating, blow up your Signal Pest, so now you just have a bunch of O2s. Yeah, I like Tan's spot here. He's getting kind of low on life, but he's not yet within the Galvanic Blast burn range. A Cranial Plating off the top would be problematic, but I assume he's just going to hold up removal for... And also, because of that exchange, Tarmogoyf now actually has power.
Yeah,
it's exciting stuff.
Artifact and creature now in the yard.
Also instant. Alright, Tan's searching up his 6th land right now. Alright, so in the graveyards we have instant, artifact, and creature. And there's a second Tarmogoyf. Yep, so Tan's turning the corner right now. He's putting Alex on the back foot. He's really punishing him for letting him draw those cards. Not that Alex had anything else he could do, really.
It looks like we had a little clarification there on the Days Undoing. It does exile itself.
Oh, yeah. Most of those Time Twister effects do. Ooh. Tan's putting a Blood Moon into play.
Oh, that's going to hurt.
Oh, yeah. So, thankfully for or at least Alex can still make colored mana because of the Springleaf Drums. And we have a Frogmite for free and another mountain. So lucky.
Well, his Mox still gives him that color.
Yeah, absolutely. He's not cut off colored mana at all, but he needs to find something that has power greater than 0 quickly, because these Tarmogoyfs are not messing around.
the Sakura actually helps get around some of the downsides of Blood Moon hitting yourself as well. Fetching up those basics means you don't really care.
Oh, absolutely. And Jund is... It's actually kind of funny because people used to sideboard against Jund by bringing in Blood Moon, but now because of the Amulet Bloom deck, everyone has to be packing Blood Moons or some other kind of land hate. So now the Jund decks are playing it and the Grixis decks are playing it where it's not necessarily good. Alright, yeah, Tan's going to swing for a bunch here. Taking Alex down to 4, I believe. And, yep, Alex is dead. So,
going to game 3.
Going to game 3. So this was the problem that I was talking about earlier. Yeah, with Days Undoing, is that when you're playing against a deck that has a ton of removal, especially post board when they bring in even more just cards that are just very, very good against you. A good friend of mine actually plays Affinity a lot, and I once asked him, like, what is your plan against the insane sideboard cards that you just can't possibly beat? And he just says, well, you have to close your eyes and hope they don't have it.
Yeah.
So
faster.
Yeah, exactly. You have to beat them before they can draw it.
Yeah. Which we saw when you're able to drop, say when you're on the play and you're able to drop Days Undoing turn 2, you're really getting that value.
Sure,
like,
absolutely.
Turn 3, turn 4 against a deck like Jund, like you mentioned before, they're just gonna have a fistful of answers.
Yeah, and that's the thing, especially if they've already spewed off a couple removal spells to kill your creatures, like your early game, before you get to, well, I guess the early game for Affinity is turn 0, or turn 1, I guess. But especially after they spew off a bunch of removal spells, the worst thing you can do is draw them into more.
Yeah.
Like, even though you're drawing threats, their removal spells are typically going to 2-for-1 you, so they're just going to be left with more removal in hand than you have threats.
Plus, you're giving those removal spells that are in the yard back into the deck.
Oh yeah, absolutely. For what margins that counts for. But I mean, if you are running the blue mana, it's not unthinkable that you run like Spell Pierce or something, and the last thing you want to do is counter their, like, you know, one whatchamacallit, Stony Silence or what have you, and then shuffle it right back in. Not that many decks just play one of that card, but still. I mean, it's definitely a very interesting take on Affinity. I like what Alex is trying to do here. It also looks like Alex brought in 2 copies of Etch Champion to kind of try to fight the removal a little bit by having a guy that you just can't kill with removal.
Yeah. He's
which I like.
2/2 Metalcraft, protection from all colors.
Correct. Yep, and it looks like Alex has one in his hand.
Yeah, he just got a new shiny paint job from the last Modern Masters.
I actually like the new Modern Masters art. It looks pretty sweet. All right, looks like Alex is going to 6. From what I can see in Tan's hand, it looks really good. It has 3 lands in it, so enough to cast most of the spells in the deck. It also has a Tarmogoyf, so you have early pressure, and it also has the Lightning Bolt, which is good to keep the early creatures like the Signal Pest and the Vault Scourges off your back while you're trying to set up. I feel like the stance Tan wants to take against this deck is pretty much grind Alex down on resources and force him to Days Undoing and just draw you into just more gas. Like, because if you put a threat on the table and just use all your other cards killing his, he's going to have to cast one eventually. Oh, and Alex is going to 5. It didn't look like there's any mana in that one.
So we're going for a 5 out of 5 on turn 1 permanents?
Well, I think Alex would really want 4 out of 5 because he wants 4 permanents and then a Days Undoing to kind of undo his mulligan. Which, if you think of it that way, Days Undoing doesn't seem terrible.
There are definitely lots of worse cards he could cast.
Sure. Oh, flashing a Frogmite, showing Tan that he is not taking those out.
Now, I see a lot of Affinity lists on both sides of the fence for Frogmite. A lot of people like it because it's just a 2/2. It just comes in for free. But a lot of people feel it doesn't do enough.
Well, it makes sense in Alex's deck because he's trying to dump permanents before turn 3 and not cast anything that costs actual mana on turn 3 except Days Undoing, which a lot of the other Affinity decks play Etch Champions in the main because they don't have that option and they need a powerful, like, late game threat that is just resilient and will eventually close out the game, gives them, you know, some form of inevitability. So Alex brought those into the board and then is maining the Frogmites so he can combo off, if you will. This is a combo deck.
Where it turns artifacts into more artifacts into
damage.
Damage.
Into your opponent being at 0. The combo is creatures and your opponent's life total. Ooh, that hand looks super sketchy from Alex. I mean, he has 3 lands, Mox Opal, and a Days Undoing, which Mox Opal's not going to make any mana anytime soon. It does keep his Glimmer Post alive, which is decent. Alright, well, that was a good draw. The Signal Pest was definitely not the worst thing in the world. Oh, he also has a Thought Scour, which costs 3 mana to cast.
Yeah, it's 5 with Affinity.
Ooh, and Bolt the Signal Pest. Keep you far, far away from ever casting any of the things.
Risky business right here. That Mox goes away. The Glimmer Post is going to go with it.
Yeah, to be fair, Alex's next turn is not going to be bad. He's gonna give Tan like a couple cards, but he's gonna undo his mulligan, which is obviously very good. Also, if he draws any 0 mana play, he's gonna play it and then Time Twister, which is gonna be. Oh, looks like we're throwing cards underneath the table. Tan trying to put that one bonfire under his foot so he can pick it up later. Just get him. It's because he just wants to win more. That's all. He just wants it. Oh, and there's a Goyf, who is a 3/4. Thanks to Signal Pest being an artifact creature.
Until that Days Undoing comes down.
Yeah, well. Days Undoing.
Next level tech against the Goyf.
Tech against Goyf.
Sure, 7 cards to my opponent sounds bad, but their Goyf is 0/1.
Yeah.
And that's always good.
To be fair, their guy doesn't do anything until they cast actual anything or play a land or...
The Goyf then dies to a ham sandwich.
Sure. If you could cast a ham sandwich, but you can't because Days Undoing ends your turn. This card is so close to being insane.
I believe that was the point. Without that clause, it's super abusable.
Yeah, then it's actually just Time Twister, which, nobody needs another Time Twister.
So what is a 9 really, really strong? Like, strong 9? Power 9, isn't it?
The mighty full 9, I believe.
The mighty 9.
To be fair, Time Twister is by far the worst out of the Power 9. Not close. I was actually talking to someone about this earlier today. But this is actually really good for Alex. It undoes his mulligan. It gives him a fresh 7. Let's hope it's better than the 7 he drew earlier.
Remembered that Days does in fact exile itself.
Alright, so Tan looks like he drew a couple lands, a Sakura Tribe Elder, and I'm not sure what else.
I think I saw a cranial plating in there. That is some speed flicking on Alex's side.
Yeah, he's going to need a creature in there before he puts a cranial plating on anything. Oh, and a bolt. Oh yeah, Tan's hand again looks very good here. All he has to do is keep Alex from killing him for a couple turns until his Goyf gets big enough to really close out the game. Alright, in Alex's hand I see a Signal Pest, an Arcbound Ravager, Cranial Plating.
Get in the swamp.
Oh yeah, he definitely wants his Tarmogoyf to hit him for some amount. Tan changing his mind. Not wanting to go for the swamp. Just kidding, the swamp. The swamp it is.
Was that the full art swamp? Oh wait, yes it was. Unhinged lands, always a good choice.
I think he was thinking about getting a duel, and then he was like, well, I do have this here Blood Moon.
He's going to back it up with another Goyf.
A bunch of 1-2 beats happening right now. It's exciting stuff here at the Wasteland. Alright, so Alex is just going to spew all of his permanents onto the table. Ooh, double Midnight into Ravager seems pretty good. Yeah, I think Alex is trying to play... The sequence that he took plays around Lightning Bolt to a certain extent, because he makes it so the Ravager is never threatened by a Bolt. He always has enough artifacts in play to sack to make it a 4/4. Because I think, the Ravager is obviously Alex's best threat right now, but those Memnites are pretty disposable.
Their job is to be Springleaf Drums and to crank up the Cranial. To be delicious, +1/+1 counter fodder.
Yeah, when you sack Memnites to Ravager, when you have a plating in play, it's every time you sack one, it's net -1 damage because you're losing an artifact and the power in play.
Of the actual Memnite. Yeah.
But if you can't attack with the Memnites, it doesn't really matter.
You can swing in, maybe force them to make some blocks, and then just sack the ones that aren't getting through.
Ooh, so Tan has a damnation here. I don't know if he'll cast it. I don't know if I would spew off your damnation when you have a pretty superior board state. Oh, and it looks like before blocks he's going to Lightning Bolt the Ravager. Oh, and Alex just lets it happen. So these Goyfs are now 4 or 5s, I believe. Instant land creature artifact. So it looks like Alex is just going to take all 8 of it. All right, so we have. Oh, I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, what you're Alex. You're here. What are you hoping to draw? What do you want to play to try to finish that out? Ooh.
Well, it's definitely not a Volt Scourge. Volt Scourge seems pretty medium here. It's probably going to get killed before it's able to combo with Cranial Plate and
get in there and gain the life back.
Get yourself out of that hole.
Jean does directly interact with the life total. It damages its way to win. Vault Scourge getting that life could be relevant. Oh, Days Undoing again.
Well, I think he's actually using this to reset the Goyfs right now.
Next level plays. Next level plays.
Something like that.
Tan was already sitting on a fistful of cards.
Yeah, now I think he's going to... Ooh, unravel the Aether on the Vault Scourge. Shuffle it back into your deck. Just more shuffling and right before you shuffle.
Bolt.
And bolt your Memnite with a counter on it. Yeah, so Tan just threw all of his removal spells on the table. He's going to get to reshuffle, probably draw just infinite more of them. Yeah, this game's looking a little bad for Alex. Like I said, we understand what he's trying to do. Oh, he bolted upstairs. Oh man, Tan's trying to finish this game out fast.
Yeah, because he knows that he's got an open turn here. Days Undoing is gonna end
at
Alex's turn, so he's hoping to draw the removal.
Well,
enough spells to correct.
I was about to say, Tan gets 7 cards to put 3 card types in the graveyard, so it's not impossible.
I mean, Kolagarn's Lightning Bolt.
Yeah, I mean, Lightning Bolt, just swinging with the O-ones, huh? It's a bold move, Cotton. Huh. I am confused as to
the sequencing here. We may have had a little...
What is going on?
Yeah, declared attacks a little early there. We'll get some clarification, I'm sure.
Yeah, so it actually looks like...
He may have just chosen to fail Defiance. Put the land straight in his graveyard, crack it, take the life.
Well, he did it after he attacked.
Yeah.
So... I think he's just deciding what land to go get.
Yeah, looks like...
Well, the thing is, I think he actually had the kill, because he had a fetch land to put a land in the graveyard. He has a Sakura Tribe Elder to put a creature in the graveyard. And, I mean, this deck is full of instants and sorceries. I'm sure he could have found one to cast for 3 mana.
Yeah, he may have just attacked a little prematurely there.
I'm not 100% sure as to... Yeah, so looks like he's fetching his land post-combat.
He may have just forgotten that the Goyf shrank. You know, they were 3s. Yeah, they shrank down. But
Sure.
It's a lot of stuff going around.
Oh, this is gonna test me. So I know exactly what this card is.
What does it do?
It gives all creatures -1/-1.
Engineered Plague?
No.
Or all creatures? Curse?
No. Yes. It is from Kamigawa block.
Oh, Kamigawa. There was a recent... the curse only hits one player. So it's going to leave the artifact with the counter on it. The artifact with the counter on it left. Although, add a 1/1.
Knight of Souls Betrayal is the name of the card. There it is. I knew I knew it somewhere in that brain. A lot of space being taken up by Magic card names right now. No, actually, Knight of Souls Betrayal seems decent.
Yeah.
I mean, it kills almost all of Alex's creatures when they enter play. Double Cranial Plating might actually kill Tan right here. So he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's +10. So that's 11 damage.
Yeah, because he's got the counter, the -1.
Oh, man, for Exaxes.
Ooh.
Woo.
Well, turns out if you do cast enough Days Undoing, Tiny Goyfs will lose you the
So
game.
it looks like Tan made a misplay toward the end of that game. But maybe we're missing something. I don't think we are. But we have Alex Ortiz winning 2-1 over Tan.
Now, the Kolagron's command, is that target player or target opponent?
For the discard effect?
Yes.
It is target opponent.
Okay. So you couldn't use it on yourself to pump those Goyfs?
No, but no matter what he discards, that's 2 card types, unless he also discards an instant, which there's not a lot in Affinity. So I will take this opportunity before we cut to break to, once again, just ruthlessly plug. So here at Wasteland Gaming, we are having Star City Regionals this upcoming Saturday. It is actually at the shopping mall right across the street from the store. So if you want to meet your friends here and then walk over there or drive over there, that's absolutely fine. Doors open at 9.
I believe so. I actually looked it up last night. It is a 7-minute walk.
Yes, it is
the most.
Very close by. When I say across the street, I am not kidding. It is at the Santa Fe Mall on Venture Parkway.
We're expecting a good number of people. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. People from all over the country are going to come and try to win our sweet trophies and our sweet cash dollars.
We will be streaming that whole event.
Yes, absolutely. Bradley, myself, and also Nathan Satterfield. And one other mystery commentator. Could be anybody.
I don't even know this.
It's a secret.
I'm excited.
But we will all be there. We will be, signing autographs, kissing babies, whatever us internet movie stars do.
If you want me to sign your Sphinx standard fog deck, I will, because I love that deck.
Not close.
No, it's great. No, we will be here. We'll be here. We're going to be rotating out. 2 of us will be in the booth. 1 of us will be in the field the entire event. It's going to be exhausting and fantastic.
No, it's going to be great.
I can't wait.
We're all very excited. Also, I will take this moment to give you guys... We're going to start doing coupon codes on the stream. So we're going to reward you guys for watching our stream.
We got some value incoming.
Absolutely. So this week's coupon code, and you can use it at thewastelandgaming.com as on our sweet playmats and our overlay and our ad slides that will be coming here in a minute. You can use the coupon code STREAM. It is good for 10% off any purchase from thewastelandgaming.com. So you can get your singles, your sleeves, your deck boxes, whatever you want. 10% off, just the top, just for watching. We wanted to thank you guys. So that about does it for us for round 2. We're waiting for 2 or 3 more matches to conclude, and then we'll be back for round 3.
Round 3. All right. Until then.
Absolutely.
so we're back with round 3 here at Modern Mondays at the Wasteland. Jonathan back on stream with his black-white tokens, hopefully more than just a game.
Mm-hmm.
And we have Jordan, who's playing Junk. Junk, good stuff. So junkless junk, if you will.
Yep. So, yeah, Jordan's just playing pretty much just best cards you can play in those colors. Yeah, Thoughtseize, Abrupt Decay, Voice of Resurgence, just, all around good creatures, good removal spells, good interaction.
Abzan, good stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yep, so I guess what our players are looking for is, so Jonathan needs some token producers, obviously, to get a threat on the table, and then he just needs some removal spells to keep Jordan from being able to race him.
Dropping intangible virtues, keep those guys up. Honor the Pure, just good stuff.
Just make his guys bigger than Jordan's actual creatures.
And we saw Knight for Battle Cry, just making everything huge.
Yeah, and I guess Jordan's just looking for Abrupt Decays to deal with the enchantments that pump Jonathan's team. And also, I believe he has Kasali Pride Mage.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it is in the sideboard, though, so that's definitely something to look out for in games, too.
Now, is this a list where we're gonna see a Siege Rhino?
I'm actually not sure. I saw just a couple turns. I just saw a couple turns of Jordan's last game, and I didn't see a Siege Rhino, but definitely the possibility is there.
Presenting for shuffle. Let's see if we can tweak some volume.
Alright, so Jonathan's hand looks like a couple creatures, couple lands, or a discard spell. And I can't quite make out what's in Jordan's hand.
I believe we have a...
Ooh, I do in fact see a Siege Rhino.
Okay.
So, Siege Rhino in Modern's coming at you. Not in Birthing Pod. Alright, both players keep their 7. Jonathan's down 18 off a dual land and an position of Kozilek. So now we all get to take a look.
Gavany Township, Lingering Souls, Noble Hierarch, and Birds of Paradise.
Yeah.
Once again, that Rhino we talked about. That seems like a good curve out.
Yeah, his deck is actually very reminiscent of the junk decks before the Treasure Cruise standard started. A lot of these decks were playing, Lingering Souls for good value, and then Siege Rhinos to top off the curve, and maybe a Restoration Angel or two for, additional value. People just trying to keep playing Birthing Pod, even though Birthing Pod got banned.
Podless Pod. Now, interesting thing about Birds of Paradise is there used to be a huge amount of time where there was always one in Standard. But we haven't seen a Birds in Standard for a little while, have we?
No, I think R&D figured out that 1 mana acceleration should be kept to green's color wheel, or color pie, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
They want it to feel distinct for green. Like, you do